What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be talking about the new PvE King in Raid Shadow Legends. That is going to be Urogrim. I know I did make a meme video before on this. Now that plarium has come back to work, didn't mention anything about him. I mean, keyword, I think it is indeed pretty safe to say that he's not going to be touched. Doesn't seem to be a lot of focus on this champion, so what I want to do is show you a few really cool things I found about this champion and how easily he smashes through tons and tons of content because of how unique his kit is. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is, of course, his skills are really good. He places a lot of poisons. A lot of people are relating him to Bad Alcazar. However, Bad Alcazar has a lot of interesting gear requirements, whether it's reflex gear, relentless gear, so on and so forth. This champion has a lot of really cool interactions because of him placing 3 poisons and 2 continuous heals on top of an A1 that also provides poisons. So as you can see here, I actually went for very minimal speed and beefed up his defenses as much as possible. We have 61,000 health, 4.3 thousand defense, 174 speed. I could go even lower if I wanted to. However, with the gear I have, this is just the excess speed I do have on the gear. Crit rate we don't care about, neither crit damage. 350 resistance, 277 accuracy. Now what makes this champion so strong opposed to others? This right here, Arcane Celerity. The fact that he's always putting on so many debuffs, he's getting turn meter constantly throughout, giving you a very low speed requirement on this champion. Now one thing you can do if you want to make this guy ramp even further is give him rapid response as well to take advantage of his continuous heal. I did not do this. I'm going to explain why. It's going to make more sense once you see this guy in action, and he is also wearing War Master. Now one thing I want to do is pause really quickly before I keep going. A lot of people have been saying, Murder, why isn't your camera? I've been having some issues with the camera. Don't worry, my friends. Hopefully by tomorrow it's going to be fixed and all of you will be able to see me once again. Alright, now that that's out of the way, what other champion are we going to pair it with? Some stupid OP Void Legendary? I think not. How about Seal of Drakes, someone we all have access to? There's a little bit of a nuance to building this champion. As we can see here, she is in a stun set. I prefer a stun set. I would not gear her any other way personally, and I'm going to explain why in 3, 2, here we go. Her A1 is quite interesting. It decreases the target's turn meter by 15%, places decreased speed. All of these things do not work well with Urogrim because it has to do with the enemies getting a turn and suffering from the poison debuff on the champions. So as we can see, Seal of the Drake's A2 has a chance to stun each time. I don't even want a chance to do this, which is why I built this champion, as we can see with 122 accuracy. From what I tested, it was much quicker to build no accuracy and completely rely on this stun set here, giving her the mastery, of course, Fearsome Presence for that additional 5% just for some extra RNG. Now, can Urogrim solo on his own? I haven't found a 100% consistent way to do that, and since Seal of Drakes is a free champion, why not just throw her in here? Her gear requirements are also extremely small. As we can see, I did stack health, defense, 72,000 on the health, just under 4,000 defense, very low speed once again because you really don't have to focus on that too much, 350 resistance, and like I said, very low accuracy. Moving on to the masteries outside of Fearsome Presence, nothing else really matters as far as I can see. The only thing I would change here, and I'll actually do it live for all of you right now, is going through the defense tree. We just want to head straight down, no counterattacks to save time. And when it comes to this tree here, all I'm really focused on is max HP. I want to avoid as much resistance as possible, and we can take this for the chance to gain turn meter on the increased speed she does apply. We can take the book finally. If we want to lower the cooldown of her A2, that would be fine. We would much prefer a quick animation A2 rather than her running up to the boss, even though it is a very small 5% chance. And finally, last thing gives to have any opportunity to extend that increased buff from her passive, then you can take Selfless Defender because she's not going to die here. Outside of that, it doesn't really matter what you take, so you can just kind of fill in anything you want there, or you can leave it blank. I personally do not like the red dots, so that's why I did approach it this way. The first dungeon we're going to check this guy out in, or this duo I should say, is going to be Stage 25 Blue Affinity Ice Golem. So we're going to run through here and you're going to kind of see very quickly how everything works here. We have the stun, we have it on 3 targets, none of them from the A2, all from the artifact set, because we don't really have enough accuracy to do pretty much of anything unless we get very lucky like we just did there. So luck does play a big part in this, but the fact that it says boost turn meter on your Urogrim is going to be key for sure. Every time you see it, it's because of his debuffs, not so much his buffs. Like I said, I probably should have redone the Masteries to show that better, but in all honesty, you don't want him too fast. Now for the waves, how fast he is isn't going to matter at all. What really matters is when we get to the Ice Golem himself, you don't want your Urogrim getting 5-10 turns to every 1 turn the Ice Golem gets, because he's going to be capped on poisons rather quickly, and he needs to actually get a turn for all of that damage to be applied here. Now one of the keys and why you should look at how I geared him decently close, as you can see there, he actually almost died. One really good failsafe, he actually did die there. It's the first time I've seen it since testing. This is why we use Seal of Drakes here. She has a revive here, she just brings so much to the table with revive, increased speed, offsetting how much speed you actually need on this champion. But what's going to be key is the defense for the waves don't matter as much. So bad RNG for stuns can let your Urogrim die, and that's going to be fine if you have it paired with someone like Seal of Drakes. She's free, you can use someone else if you want to, but keep in mind that you might go through a few test rounds here. We got a really lucky double stun from the artifact set, so the ability the Ice Golem is using right now, every champion you see in front of you, I mean just the 2 champions, Urogrim and Seal of Drakes, they can both survive critical strikes from the Ice Golem without attack down. That's kind of how I gauged how I should build this champion and what I needed defensively to make sure this worked. So no matter how hard he crits, whether it's the high threshold or the low threshold of the Ice Golem's damage, he is never going to one-shot any of these champions, even after a crit, based on the health they have and the defense they also have here. So now you're going to kind of see how you really don't want your team going too many times in between the Ice Golem. Is just going to make the run take way too long. And as mentioned before, this run is actually going a little bit slower than it normally should be, since we did have a death in Urogrim in one of those trash waves. However, it's all going to work out nonetheless. Tons of poison damage we just saw going through there. So by the next turn, this guy is going to die 100%. Alright, so as we can see here, 2 minutes and 53 seconds. It's not crazy fast, but you want to add food to this, your efficiency skyrockets, goes through the roof. As we can see, 7.8 million damage from Urogrim. Seal of Drakes, 358,000. We don't really care about that. She's a huge utility champion. 1.3 million heals, 700,000 heals from Seal as well. So fastest time I've had, 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Slowest time is the one you just saw in front of you, 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Moving on to the second dungeon that this guy really shines. And this just goes to show you the versatility of Seal of Drakes. Now this is where the question of building accuracy on her can be helpful if you want to run her in a place like Dragon. I want to show you guys how this works even with weak affinity here. And if you're willing to have a slightly longer Ice Golem time, and you do have the gear, because keep in mind, me not building any accuracy on Seal of Drakes here gives me lots and lots of freedom for how I can gear her as a champion. I can make her much tankier. None of them are wearing speed boots. They're all wearing HP percent or defense percent boots. I don't even care about speed substats, because they are getting so much speed internally from Masteries and from that increased speed buff here. This is a perfect example of why this combo works so well. We can see on stage 25, the hardest difficulty of this dragon here, they are having no problem at all, pretty much flying through all of this content. We did get really lucky there, and to my point, if you haven't understood it yet, if you want to build full accuracy, the consistency and speed of this run as far as how fast it goes is going to raise significantly if you decide to build Seal with accuracy. But as we're going to see here, and as you'll notice, it is 100% not needed at all. All you need is survivability, resistance for Seal, and survivability, resistance, as well as accuracy for Urogrim. Thankfully, both of their base stats are rather respectable, so they are going to have no problem at all cutting through this content here. So now we're at the what could be viewed as the scary part of the fight, making sure that the dragon has his breath purple bar consumed each and every single time we are doing this content. Boost turn meter, once again as seen on your Urogrim, is going to be very helpful in this progress. And this team, once again, also has the opportunity to have food added to it, making all of your farming for tournaments, fusions, whatever you want to do much quicker. Alright, once again, the final breakdown, 7.2 million, very similar to the Ice Golem, 1.1 million heals, 163,000 damage for a weak affinity Sill, 575,000 healing. Total time here, fastest I've personally done my testing, 2 minutes and 5 seconds. As far as consistency for time goes, it's going to differ a lot. However, the margin isn't going to be that big. So it could be, let's say this isn't even the fastest time. 1 minute and 50 seconds will be the fastest time, and the slowest time will probably be around 2 minutes and 15 or 2 minutes and 20 seconds. However, it's rarely going to hit the same number over and over again because it really all comes down to how often Sill is stunning the targets, which can be increased with accuracy and the RNG of how many weak hits you're actually going to see. So outside of that, you can use this to progress through Minotaur. Minotaur is very easy, so it's not really worth getting into that. You can use this for potion keeps. Fire Knight, this is kind of a failed venture. Of course, as you know, the shield takes a certain amount of hits, and none of these champions are very good at doing hits themselves, so to consider them having to solo this isn't ideal. One thing I want endgame players that are watching this to understand is, you might be thinking, why would I build a team like this when I can farm this dungeon in 30 seconds? Once you get endgame and you're endgame for long enough, you do start to understand that gear spreads thin very quickly. So when you can gear 2 champions without a lot of effort that can clear things with food, you're kind of going to gravitate towards that strategy instead of trying to farm things in 30 seconds, tricking out your champions with ridiculous gear just to get that time, some of them having a 99% win rate. All energy matters in this case, so you definitely want to keep that in mind. Which is why personally I've left behind almost every single speed run in favor of more efficient runs where I have to gear the lowest amount of champions. As I've mentioned before, my current spider team is actually not this one that I showcased, but it is my clan boss team. I'm literally using my clan boss team as a 100% win rate on stage 25. It does take 2 minutes, but I'm okay with that because I do not have to gear any additional champions for the spider dungeon, which to me matters a lot more. And as you play this game, I think you will agree with me and start to understand that gear spreads thin quickly regardless of what your account looks like or how good your account in fact is. Alright guys, that is going to conclude my video today on Urogrim, showing you all how absolutely strong he is in the Ice Golem dungeon as well as the Dragon dungeon. I will be doing something separate for the clan boss because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with him in the clan boss. There's also a few warning signs already for my testing in the clan boss that I think it's going to be important for you guys to know if you do plan to use this. So definitely stay tuned, look for that video. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you all, hopefully in person, in my next video.